Welcome to the Maggie and Perloff Show, day 2 of 2023. I'm Andrew Perloff. She's Maggie Gray. It's going to be an unusual show, Maggie. Last night, Bills safety DeMar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest on the field in Cincinnati. Got his heartbeat going again, and now he's in the hospital. Why don't you give us the latest news on what's going on today?
And a good Tuesday afternoon to you, and it is time for the first installment of 2023 of the McFarland Show. Darren and Justin here with you for the next 2 hours in our Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. Devlin is alongside. Guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You know, I can't think of more things that we could have packed into the last 3 days in the sports world than what has happened over since the last time we spoke to each other here on the air. So much has happened.
A lot has happened, and we'll have all week to try to sift through everything. We'll do our best today. We won't be able to get to everything today. We know that. We recognize that. Last night changed that.
Yes.
For sure. In fact, we'll get a former player's reaction. In fact, a former Bills player reaction to begin the second hour. Kelly Holcomb, former Bills quarterback, will join us. And I want to hear what it was like for a player to go through that, because it was hard to watch, and we didn't play, and we never played in the NFL. So I want to get Kelly Holcomb's reaction at 2:20. We'll head east. We'll bring in our man Vince Ferrara, who just got back from Miami. He was down there covering the Vols, win over Clemson, so we'll get his reaction to that. And then, of course, we have to talk about what indeed did happen last night. DeMar Hamlin, listed right now today, the latest, is in critical condition in Cincinnati at the hospital. And if you were watching last night, which a lot of people were, this was a big game.
It was.
There was a lot on the line between the Bengals and the Bills. Probably the best Monday Night Football game of the year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty fair to say.
Certainly the best matchup going in.
Well, I'm getting at it. They haven't had great matchups this year. But I'm sure you know by now what's happened. And the NFL has released a statement, another statement, a more recent statement, in the last hour and a half, saying that after speaking with both teams and the NFLPA leadership, Roger Goodell and the NFL has informed both the Bills and the Bengals that game will not resume this week. The NFL has right now, currently, as of an hour and a half, has made no decision regarding the possible resumption of that game at a later date. So I don't know how they're going to handle this, but the league also did put out that they're going to go on with Week 18, the games that are scheduled, but they don't know what they're going to do with the Bengals and the Bills moving forward.
You know, Darren, it may be one of those things where, and I believe they did this with Tennessee and LSU a few years ago, even though under very different circumstances, they may decide, well, we'll play the game if it becomes necessary to play the game or something of that nature.
In other words, do we need to play this game?
Do we really need to play this game in order to decide things?
Yeah.
And if we don't, then we won't. Obviously, it's got serious, playoff implications and all that kind of thing. And I know playing football,
seeding purposes
and all that. And I understand that playing football is sort of the last thing on those teams' minds right now, especially if you are the Buffalo Bills. As we get closer and closer to the weekend, at some point, regardless of what happens, there will need to be a decision made about if the Bills are going to go out there and play football or not. It's so horrible that we have to sit here and contemplate such things, because of what's happened. And one more thing I just need to put out there for myself. I need to get this off of my chest very quickly. Earlier this morning in my other job over at the other place at Fox 17, when talking about this story, I described this as to what happened to Damar Hamlin as an injury. No, Justin. This was not an injury the same way you think of it as your run-of-the-mill injury. This essentially was a medical episode that happened out there on the field.
Well, but it probably was caused by an injury from the play.
Caused by the play.
The injury caused the medical episode.
or the tackle.
I don't want to get too
collision.
deep in the weeds because I'm certainly not a doctor, but I certainly have talked to people and have read up on what people are speculating has happened. I'm not going to pretend to to give that medical term that's being thrown out there for this sharp, I guess, blow to the chest area, which can cause the heart to stop. There is a medical term that I'm not going to even
try to pronounce.
Try to pronounce.
And I can't pronounce it either, even though I know understand what you're talking about, and I've seen the same things. But to suggest the term injury is something we think of when we think of what Ryan Tannehill is going through with his ankle. That's an injury. This seems to be something a little bit more drastic and a little bit heavier than just that. And that's all I'm really trying to drive at is to describe this as an injury. I don't think is really doing it justice to the Bills or to the player, to the family here. This is something that's very tragic and very difficult to deal with here for all parties involved, the medical community, the sports community, everybody.
Let me throw a couple attaboys and hat tips to some people out there. One, Twitter, if you're on Twitter or social media enough, you can lose faith in the human race. It's pretty easy to do that on a daily basis. Like, wow, at times I'm ashamed to be a human being. The stuff I see people write and say, it's like
pretty rough.
Wow.
It's like, what?
Wow, you really feel that way?
Come on, man.
Wow.
Seriously?
So
you
sometimes
sat down to write that?
I lose faith in the human race. Yeah. But last night you can also restore and regain faith in the human race. I'm sure, again, a lot of people have seen this story by now. I was kind of following it as it was really blowing up last night. Damar Hamlin has always said he's going to remember. He was a 6th round draft pick from the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And or is it Pittsburgh University? University of Pittsburgh.
I thought it was University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, University of Pittsburgh. Anyway, he went to Pitt. He was a Pitt Panther.
Yes.
That he said he will never forget, where he came from. And he's a guy that's, because of injuries, has turned into a everyday starter or an every week starter for the Buffalo Bills, and he's been giving back to his community. He did a toy drive this year for kids.
Yeah.
His goal was to raise $2,500. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty nice little toy drive, right?
Yeah, that would do well by a lot of toys.
Well, this obviously gets out there on social media. There's a GoFundMe page. And at last check, and I haven't checked in a while, I know it was, I think, over $3 million.
Yeah. I mean,
$3 million. Last night, I think the first time I was aware of the story, I think it was at $750,000. And this was maybe a couple of hours after the incident. It was over, I think, $3 million the last time I checked.
I mean, it's an unbelievable gesture that people have been making in order to make this happen. And people just want to do something. They don't know what to do. So what can I do? Can I do anything to make what I saw last night any better? So if it means giving $10, $20 to this thing over here that he was passionate about, then so be it. Then we'll give the 10 to 20. And when everybody does that, this is the results that you get. You get this amazing response here that so many people are seeing out there. And so many people are talking about it, Darren. I'm having a hard time finding the actual link because when you type it in, you get.
They said, Justin, that GoFundMe was having a hard time keeping up. Honestly, that's something that I've read.
Got it. $4.5 million.
Wow.
As of right now.
They said there were times when GoFundMe could not keep up. Like, I think it was crashing because the activity was so fast and furious. So $4.5 million?
$4.5 million.
Wow.
And the top donor, they've got the top donor up here. Someone donated $20,000.
Wow. Good for them. Good for people. Good for humans. Yay, humans. I can feel good about the human race again.
I mean, what an unbelievable response.
The other thing is, I'm not going to get on a soapbox. There's two different ways to go about the business that we're in, and I'll include what you do in the mornings, television and radio. I'm not, going to look. Styles to each his own, right? And if your style works and there's a thirst for it, and clearly there is in this country, doesn't mean whether I agree with it or not is irrelevant. There's two different ways to go about this. What I can appreciate is having responsible broadcasters on the air last night. That's what I can appreciate.
Yes.
And not clowns.
Yeah.
There is a bunch of clowns in our business. And again, if people want clown consumption, then that's fine. I mean, whatever. Like, again, I'm not going to get on a soapbox condoning them, saying pointing my finger at them, because clearly there's a place for it, because there's a faction of people that want that. They want outrageous things said at all times, okay?
Yeah.
And if you're one of those, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Probably not the show for you. Well,
Yeah.
okay. We'll probably put ourselves in the category of being responsible and trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
We want to entertain. We want to have fun.
Sure.
And we'll have strong, hard opinions that may piss you off sometimes.
Man, I like it.
But we're not, right, you may not like it. So, but we're certainly not doing that to try to get attention.
No.
Or clickbait.
No.
But I really appreciate ESPN last night, because this game was on ESPN. I'm glad they had responsible people in place last night to handle a very, very tough situation, from Joe Buck and Troy Aikman actually doing the game, to Lisa Salters down on the sidelines, to going back to the studio with Susie Colbert and Booger McFarland and Adam Schefter, followed by the coverage from Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter, and Ryan Clark, who I think does a really good job on ESPN. It was good to see responsible journal and the people that they had out, quite honestly. I'm drawing blanks on the guy that was basically camped out at the hospital. He did a really good job. I don't know him. I don't recognize his name. Was his name Haley? Is that right?
I'm not exactly sure.
I don't remember. Anyway, the guy that was camped out at the hospital last night in Cincinnati, who I think is now a Bills reporter for ESPN, but I think during his reporting he said he used to cover the Bengals, so he used to live in Cincinnati. He was very familiar with how far the hospital was from the stadium.
Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job. In other words, kudos to ESPN last night and everybody covering this, because I thought it was done very well.
And the key thing to what you just said, you named a bunch of people a few moments ago, and the key is with all of those people is experience. These are veteran broadcasters. So when something went down, even when it's unexpected like this, there probably wasn't a lot of panic or unsure what to do or what's going on. These folks have been around sports, been around football for a very long time. They've also been on live television and live broadcast for a very long time. So trying to catch them off guard with something, even something like this, was going to be very, very difficult. And one more thing to say, because I've seen some online criticism about, well, it's awkward, they should just go ahead and toss to something.
No.
Let me tell you something right now. Let me give you this perspective as a television person. This isn't baseball, okay? There isn't a backup plan. My first job here at WNSR was...
You're talking about like a long rain delay. Yeah.
Well, I was a board op for Nashville Sounds Baseball, okay? The first thing Mr. Johnson and anybody else running the station told me, if there's a rain delay, this is what you do. You go back, you put on whatever. There was a protocol of what to do if there was a rain delay, then how to get us in and out of rain delays, okay? But that's a baseball game where rain delays are expected and part of the deal. In the National Football League, there's no backup plan for this. We're here to play a ball game. Maybe we get a 30-minute, lightning delay at best, where we can go back to the studio. And But this game was not just on ESPN, Darren. This game was on ABC. Game was broadcast last night. ABC prime time. They don't have something just laying around that they, we'll just throw this in here. No, they don't have that. This is something that they have to kind of work through. And listen, the problems of doing a live.
This game was on ABC last night?
It absolutely was.
Was it?
The game was on ABC. I was watching it last night on Channel 2. The game was on ABC.
I just went to ESPN because I know that's always on. That's Monday Night Football. I didn't know they put this.
It was one of those ABC ESPN double coverage, type of things that they do. But my only point is, it's very difficult.
So do they show the same coverage on both?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just can't.
Honestly, I just never looked.
No, that's fine. They just can't come out of that, though, and throw to an episode of The Bachelor or something. No. It's not set up for that. And I know that the problems for the broadcast pale in comparison to the young man and his family and what they are dealing with. I don't even try to compare the two like, they had such a hard time. No. The family of this young man and this young man who's going through this is having a hard time. I just want to put that out there that they don't have a backup plan for NFL football when it goes down like this. It goes down like this, something happens, they got to keep going, at least until somebody can come up with something else to do, which is what happened last night.
I got a text, and I believe this is 100% right. Coley Harvey.
Okay.
I think that sounds right. I said
I have heard of him. Absolutely.
Coley Harvey.
Yes, I've heard of him.
So thank you for that. That is correct, and I thought he did a really good job. So kudos for Mankind. Kudos to ESPN/ABC. And I know they're all under one umbrella. I'll just say ESPN because it's all the ESPN personalities. Having responsible broadcasters doing something that was very uncomfortable. Because, by the way, you can speak on this. It's not all comfortable. Like, you get put in spots. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable doing this show. I have done many uncomfortable shows over the years. Yeah. Steve McNair was murdered about 300 yards from the studio I used to work at every day. Okay? That was a very uncomfortable week or weeks of shows.
Yeah.
Pac-Man Jones. I mean, I can go on and on and on of uncomfortable shows.
Yeah.
It's part of what you sign up to do.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to do this.
No, we got to get into it now.
So they were put in a very, very uncomfortable position. I understand that. But they handled it with grace. And, at times there wasn't much to say.
Yeah.
But you still have to move on. And, no, you don't move away from it. This is serious. You have to handle this situation, and they did. The right call was not to put other programming on. The right call was to stay with it.
Yeah.
And keep reporting any nugget you got from the situation.
Yeah. Until you found out what was going on. Yeah.
And by the way, there was no speculation like plenty of idiots in our business do all the time. There was no speculation last night. Look, if they didn't have facts, they weren't reported in. And I was okay with that.
Yeah, and listen, as somebody who's done breaking news coverage to the 10th power, in my case, I've done hours worth of it at this point. People always complain, well, they're saying the same thing over and over again. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we are because you've been watching, but perhaps
not
the person
everybody's been
that
watched
just turned on the TV
the whole time,
they don't know.
Yeah,
so we're updating them, and we don't want to just say things that we aren't sure that are true. So forgive us for not just saying random things that come to mind just because, we're out of things to say. No, we're trying to find out things. We're waiting for more information. So that's going to lead to some repeat. It just is. But this is all part of the news gathering process and trying to be responsible with the platform. That's all.
We come back. We will step aside from this topic and check in with our man Vince Ferrara, who was covering the Orange Bowl, was covering the Tennessee Clemson game, and wow, good for the Vols.
Yes.
What a win.
Wow.
What a season.
Very impressive.
For Josh Heupel in year 2. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll get into this with Vince on the other side. With a season like this comes what, Justin?
Expectations.
Huge expectation. Don't forget the word huge.
Yeah,
huge. It's not just expectations. So next year, it's like, now what you got?
Yeah. Well, you did that last year.
Yeah, 11 wins. Now what you got?
Yeah. Well, you beat Alabama last year.
Yeah.
What do we get this year?
Well, that's part of it. We'll talk with our man Vince Ferrara. 99.1 The Sports Animal next.
Are you looking for a trusted partner who knows AT&T business inside and out? ABS Communications is an organization built on the premise that telecom solutions and working with companies like AT&T can often be complicated, and the customer needs someone to help them navigate through these complexities. They make complex simple. Whether it's helping maintain, manage, or secure your business, ABS Communications is here to help with all your business telecom and mobility needs. Their business was built with the goal of simplifying the process of connectivity for the customer and establishing a long-term relationship of trust through transparency and accountability. ABS Communications is a top 5 AT&T authorized agent with over 200 years of AT&T technical experience. You can call Mark and the gang at 615-349-8588, or you can visit their website at abscomm.net. And remember, mention the McFarland Show to ABS, and you could get up to $250 in a Visa gift card for new ABS business customers.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. That's right, free. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And it's free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits from financially strong insurers.
Call 800-715-9880.
That's right, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling today.
Call 800-715-9880. That's 800-715-9880.
Sponsored by Annuity General. Producers have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer. Increased income is possible using strategies suited to your goals and may require buying multiple annuities and holding them full term.
Greg Pogue back once again to tell you about Bongo Java, Nashville's oldest and most celebrated coffee company, now also located in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Reward yourself for surviving Nashville traffic with fresh, locally roasted coffee, classic handcrafted espresso drinks, and fresh baked goods all day long. And free Wi-Fi so you don't have to work from home. Number 1 in customer service. You made it through the traffic. Reward yourself with a perfect pick-me-up at Bongo Java. Fresh coffee, delicious treats, great atmosphere. Open 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. daily. Bongo Java at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
WNSR Nashville Sports Radio would like to take this time to say congratulations to Greg Pogue. Greg is a member of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. Greg Pogue has been a standard and staple of Nashville sports media. Congratulations to Greg Pogue and the rest of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. From your friends and family at WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
Back here on the McFarland Show, Darren and Justin here with you. You can watch us every day on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We salute you. Good job all around again last night and today. 4.5 million. And by the way, it's not done anytime soon.
No, the GoFundMe.
Oh, yeah, it'll probably
account.
get to 10 million.
Yeah.
It'll probably get 10 million bucks.
If they don't close it, it'll keep going.
Yeah, it'll probably get to 10 million bucks. Let's head east. Let's bring in our man Vince Ferrara, 99.1 The Sports Animal there in Knoxville. Vinny, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Ruh-roh. Vince, you there?
Just hear me.
There you
Sorry,
go.
I'm in a storm.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm in a storm, so who knows about the cell towers right now.
Okay.
Okay. Not a parking garage, but a storm.
You know, you leave Florida and then you get storms. Who knew?
Pretty scary thing real quick before we jump into what you've been up to. Pretty scary thing we spent the entire first segment talking about last night in Cincinnati with DeMar Hamlin. And you've been covering sports a long time like us. Man, it's always, it's always rattling when something like that happens, and I don't think any of us have covered anything to that degree or have you. I mean, what were your thoughts sitting there watching that last night. I know you were coming back from Florida. I don't know when exactly you got home to Knoxville.
Yeah, it unfolded to me not watching it on TV, but listening to the radio call on Westwood One, and Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner were at a loss, and then eventually it went to Rich Eisen trying to make sense of it all and try to talk everybody through not having a whole lot of information, and then reporting some of what Lisa Salters had reported that they had administered CPR on Damar Hamlin, and obviously frightening. Just not able to comprehend that something that serious could have happened. And then there's the Knoxville tie-in too, because T. Higgins was in on the tackle, and that's who Hamlin was tackling, kid from Knoxville. And even though he should not, I imagine he was feeling some guilt in that moment, and hopefully he and everybody else that not just had to be there for it, but witness of a player not able to breathe in cardiac arrest on the field. And it's one of those things that when you penetrate something that you think is sort of invincible, and now you lose your vulnerability. And I think there's always been a sense of, yes, you can get hurt playing football, but I don't know how many people register life or death. And I think that's where it really can shake you at your core, witnessing it, and then now seeing an example of how fragile not only injuries are your health, but life right in front of you. Someone breaks into your house that you feel you've always had comfort in and safety in, and once that's broken, that's hard to kind of get that back. And imagine there's some sort of shield there that was broken that will take quite a while to try to repair. Just unimaginable, and glad that at least he seems to be in stable condition. And certainly hope that he will recover, quickly and in full.
No doubt. Prayers to the Hamlin family, for sure. We were driving down to Atlanta Friday night, so I listened to the first half on satellite radio. It was the Vol Network, so I heard their coverage. And then when we got to our destination, Atlanta, I watched the second half. But listening to the first half on radio, it sounds like the Vols dodged many, many bullets. We're leading and in control, up 14-3 when, Clemson had missed 3 field goals. He's the best kicker in the ACC. He's been a tremendous kicker. They did a fake kick that got blown up. I mean, they just dodged a lot of bullets and found themselves up 14-3 in the first half. Is that fair to say?
Yes, although I do think that Tennessee deserves some credit, right? I mean, this much maligned defense that wasn't stopping anyone, whether they're in Tennessee territory or not, they were bowing up and getting some third down stops. It was on Dabo and their kicker, B.T. Potter, that they weren't cashing in. I didn't like Dabo's fake field goal the first time when Harbaugh was running the Michigan special at the goal line, sort of, acting desperate early in a game. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Dabo doing that. And it was unnecessary. Who knows? If he kicks that first field goal, maybe he has the confidence he's crushing the other ones. Who knows? But you had opportunities for 12 points there, and they had nothing out of those trips. All but one until garbage time at the end. I believe it was all but one of their possessions ended in Tennessee territory, and they ended up with 14 points, 2 field goals and a touchdown. So they got the stops on third down, but what they did with them, and that was partly on Clemson also. So, Yeah, I think it was a mixed deal for them not cashing in. In the meanwhile, Tennessee was getting touchdowns into their trips because they were either going 3 and out or on touchdown drives. It was all or nothing, but they weren't missing out on their scoring opportunities. And as I'm sure you'll get to, Joe Milton wasn't missing on his deep balls.
Yep, no, he was not. What I wanted to get your assessment of the freshman quarterback for Clemson, Cade Klubnik. What did you think of him? Because I guess he's their future moving forward, right? But what did you think of his performance?
I thought the ball was in his hands too much. He threw the ball 54 times, and he had, I believe, 21 rushes. Will Shipley had 17 carries as your best player.
Yeah.
It was 17 carries and, I want to say like
72
10 catches,
yards.
Something like that.
72 yards, yeah.
And some of that was most of it was the first drive of the third quarter when he had like 2 or 3 carries in the entire first half. And then they made a point on their first possession of the third quarter to give him the rock a lot. So they kind of made up for it all at one time, but they used him as a decoy. At least Klubnik was using that to open up some running lanes for him, he thought. And so I asked him in the postgame, Klubnik, was that by design? Did you just read it that way? He said it was reads. Tennessee giving a lot of attention to Shipley, but then able to recover on Klubnik. He's really athletic. He can make all the throws, but he was feeling the pressure like a freshman. He was bailing out of the back of the pocket and throwing off his back foot a lot. And Tennessee was getting heat on him. Tim Banks was dialing up pressures, which is when they're at their best. I said that was important for them going in, that they not sit back in coverage, that they get after the freshman quarterback who hadn't seen a lot. That was his first career start.
Yep.
So I think he's got a great future, but he is not a Heisman Trophy candidate to me like I've seen him listed already. Not yet.
No. I thought Aaron Beasley really stood out. What did you think of his play?
Woo. I mean, 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks in the first half alone with 6 tackles, and then he had 6 more tackles in the second half. He had one of those fourth down stops. I guess he had a stop on the fake field goal. He was key in some of those pressures. He was around the ball. He told me going in, and this surprised my partner Jimmy and people that I told it to. He told me when I asked him what was different with Klubnik, he said, man, they'll do more of the triple option RPO stuff with Klubnik in there. And Klubnik didn't have very many carries in his limited time, but they knew that was coming, and he was prepared for it. And he was one of the ones that was making the solo tackles on Klubnik on those keeps because he was anticipating it. So, and he even said after the game, that, look, I came back because I still don't even know a lot of the nuances of the linebacker position. That kid plays that way without even knowing how to play linebacker yet. That's a pretty good sign for the future for Tennessee. So he was huge. Byron Young, a couple of sacks. He decided to play the game. He said he was really torn going in on whether to play after declaring for the NFL draft. He prayed on it. He lost sleep, trying to think about what to do, and ultimately decided, hey, I need to finish this out with my guys and finish the season off. And, man, he was so thankful and emotional after the game that he did so. So in addition to Beasley, Young was excellent also.
No Tillman, no Hyatt, no problem. Freshman Squirrel White. Boy, he stepped up. Future looks pretty bright for him.
Yeah, insert your GIFs, insert your emojis. Okay, he was even trending on Twitter, believe it or not. That's how much Tennessee was sharing, was in the spotlight of the sports world that night. One of the benefits of playing that game against a big-time opponent. Man, he hadn't played that many snaps, but he was ready. He wasn't tired, and he was dynamic, and you could see the speed. Hard to overthrow that kid, even with Joe Milton's arm. So he had a nice connection with Squirrel White. And Squirrel did mention, even though he's a kid of very few words when we tried to interview him, But he did say, yeah, we're running with twos a lot during the year, and he would get a chance to work with Joe Milton a lot. So they had good chemistry. Tennessee guys only played 3 wide receivers in the game. We talked about no Hilton, no Hyatt, no Tillman, and they didn't have much depth at receiver. Would young guys get an opportunity? Nope. It was their starting 3, and that's it. And they ran with those 3, and they were more than good enough to get the job done, including Squirrel White with those 9 catches, and really exciting for the future at that slot position, and even on the outside. He could play either one for Tennessee moving forward.
So a successful season overall, I think most fans would say, after a big win here in the Orange Bowl. So what is next year? What is the big picture for Tennessee after a win like this?
Well, Josh Heupel was pretty hyped afterwards, and because he was jumping up and down, but for him to say that the best is yet to come and that the future is freaky bright for Tennessee, and that's a pretty decent statement. Usually coaches don't want to float that kind of stuff out there because then it adds expectation. I know the last couple of coaches didn't want to put that stuff out there, but he wasn't afraid to. That tells you they're really excited about their freshman class, who got a lot of raves from players, especially the ones who got to practice. And so, yeah, they feel good about it. Now, they're still making up ground in terms of roster talent with the Georgias of the world and Alabamas and all that, but if they can continue to hit at a high percentage and get some key successful transfers, they've been successful in going to USC and Gerald Mincey at left tackle. So if they can hit on a good percentage of their guys, yeah, I think, and the way Milton played gives you a lot more confidence next year. And then also the fact, like you guys asked me previous, without those guys, without Golish also. Without everything that helped get you to number 1 during the season and the 10 wins of the regular season and all that, you had some backup guys, and they were still successful. No Jeremy Banks on the other side, and they were still successful. So they just shows you that there's a good system, good culture in there beyond just some key players that happen to be on campus at one time. And we'll see what the roster looks like when we start next year, but I think a lot of excitement for the Tennessee fans.
I'm trying to figure out how to ask you this question here, Vince. So let me try it this way. Is Joe Milton the undisputed starter going into next year, or do the guys that we really haven't seen a lot of yet actually have a chance to get past him here by the time we kick off here in September, of course, barring injuries, of course?
Yeah, I'm not going to say undisputed starting quarterback, the leader. Absolutely, he is. Okay. Milton would have to not put in the work in the off season or look like he's regressed, or Nico to just be amazing to surpass him in the starting role. And even then, I still think they even if they in the back of their minds felt like, okay, they're really close, I still think they would wait a little bit. Another part of it is the physical aspect of it for Nico Iamaleava, the 5-star quarterback from California. I mean, the kid got arm talent, everybody raving about his maturity. Their quarterback's coach, Joey Halsley, who I still think is the leader for the OC spot, to be elevated to that. He said that just like Milton and Hooker, those guys were sponges and asked a bunch of questions and always wanting to learn, that Nico did the same thing. They put in this play for the Orange Bowl, and he asked, okay, why are you guys doing this? Tell me about this. And Milton said the same thing, that he's constantly asking questions. I witnessed him constantly after every rep of practice talking to somebody about their rep and then, nodding his head and learning. So those are good signs, but still he's got to put on weight. He is still very slim. Mm-hmm. And so there's more of that time. And so Milton is the the unquestioned starter. But, man, in this transfer portal world, you just NIL, you just never know what other dynamics are going to pop up, what it looks like at the start of next year. So I'm not making anything absolute. Taven Jackson, to me, will get passed up and be the number 3. Then the question is, does he
stay?
Yeah,
there
you go. Yeah.
And because then that would only leave you 2 scholarship quarterbacks. So I think Tennessee is going to – it's one of the reasons that Heupel said quarterback competition no matter what. Halsey said the same thing. They want all 3 of these guys to stick around and not have anyone try to bounce, because 3 is not a big number to begin with. And if one leaves, then you're really thin.
Vince, you have a great week. We'll look forward to talking to you on Monday on the night of the national championship game. We'll get your predictions, see how you think it's all going to play out.
Yeah, and I'll save my beach stories for you privately then, Darren. We'll tell you about that.
Oh, okay. And then, okay, we can do – look, I want more stories, so we'll definitely do that.
Stories with Vince.
Appreciate it, Vinny.
Thanks,
all
Vince.
right, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great one.
You too.
Vince Ferrara, 99.1 The Sports Animal, there in Knoxville. And, yes, it will indeed be Georgia and TCU. Bulldogs almost a 2-touchdown favorite.
Wow.
Yikes. All right, we'll come back. We're open the rest of the hour. 615-844-5600. If you want to jump in there and talk with us for the first time in 2023, more of the McFarland Show next.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
You hear the phrase a lot this time of year, happy holidays. But holidays are not always happy, particularly for guys grappling with a divorce that they didn't choose. These men need more than the help of a good lawyer. They need the hope and encouragement of a good friend.
Online at CordellCordell.com, 317-322-0122, 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1250, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Austin Hardy is your go-to agent in the Middle Tennessee community for the service you desire at the price you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Austin Hardy has you covered. Call 615-810-9999 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Five-State Forecast. Your exclusive national sports radio, WNSR Sky Scan forecast. For today, widespread thunderstorms, including severe weather, possible tornadoes, the haze high 70. Showers, maybe a thunderstorm tonight, then clearing toward daybreak, the low 56. Wednesday, a mostly sunny day, high 64. Utilizing resources of the WeatherBug Network on National Sports Radio, I'm WNSR's meteorologist, Jim Rinaldi.
Sports Radio, WNSR.
We'll start the second hour with former Bills quarterback Kelly Holcomb. Of course, played at MTSU, longtime quarterback in the National Football League. Find out what it was like for him watching that unfold last night. That's coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Back here on the McFarland Show. To the phone lines we go. 615-844-5600 is how you can get in touch with us. Let's start off in Nolensville. Tony, what's up?
Good afternoon, guys. And, of course, I'm glad to kick off the 2023 season on the McFarland Show and feel honored to be that first caller for the new year.
Thank you so much, Tony.
And I tell you what, of course, what we saw last night, and I'll be honest with you, I was not watching the game at that moment. I was watching another show with my wife, and I got a alert on my phone, and we flipped it over there, and that's when we saw what was all taking place. And, we just got to pray for that young man, and hopefully he overcomes all this. He pulls through. He's still got such a young life. So much life ahead of him, being he's so young. And let's just hope he pulls through it. And God's got a better plan for him if he don't ever play another football game. God's got obviously good plans for that young man for the rest of his life. And let's just pray for him.
No doubt.
But what I saw through the weekend and some of these bowl games, I tell you, I feel my heart goes out to a lot of times, though. These underdog teams we've seen for years, the TCUs, the Tulanes, these teams that are making noise now that wasn't making much noise over the last few years, you just feel good for them. And they're feel-good stories, they're hallmark stories, and I'm glad to see the Sonny Dykes and then the coach at Tulane and all these teams, it's good to see new stories and new teams. Maybe it'll be a sign of the times to come, guys. The playoffs, if the bowl games this year are any indication of what the playoffs are to come, we're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about in a couple of years. So,
that's a good point. That's a good point, Tony.
And I just think you saw a lot of teams. We've done a lot of talking about the players, the stars opting out. Well, we saw a lot of good players on these teams that stepped up, chose to play. The Pittsburgh quarterback, what's his name, Matty? He 2 years in a row, he got beat out as the starting quarterback for Pitt, but ended up being the starting quarterback in their bowl games. Stories like that are just unbelievable. And when these playoffs come around and what's going to transpire, you've got a lot of teams that's got a lot of good stories. And we also found out there's a lot of parity going on now in college football too, guys. So that's my take on what I've witnessed and seen. And I'm not even talking no more pro football about that today other than, our player that we've just got to pray for. So we just got to hope he gets better. Guys, thank you. Glad you're going to be there this year. Glad the show's already up and running and going to take off. Y'all been on there, 3 months?
3 months.
3 months, yes, sir.
You're very polished. You're polished. So
well, thank you, sir.
I told one other guy one day that his show was smooth as silk, but I'm going to tell y'all also, your show's smooth as silk. So
wow.
Run with it.
Thank you, Tony.
There we
Appreciate
go.
it. All right, we're off and running this year.
Silky smooth.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of things to touch on there.
Yeah, there is.
One, let me throw into the list of good things that happened. The GoFundMe, the way it was covered last night, and, restoring faith, regaining faith in humanity. I don't know if humanity really had anything to do with this, but another feel-good story is that Texas Tech and Mississippi State both won their bowl games.
Yes.
I thought that was cool. With obviously paying huge homage to Mike Leach.
Mike Leach, yeah.
So that was cool to see. I knew Mississippi State was not going to lose that game. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't going to lose. Yeah. There was no way they were losing to Illinois.
Yeah. Played very well. Played very well enough. Well enough to win there.
Yeah.
At the end. So good for them. And the Tulane USC game was just absolutely fantastic.
Crazy.
A great finish there. He's talking about and Tony's right. On a football level, thinking anyway, Tulane has no business beating USC traditionally, and they hung with them and beat them down the stretch. Honestly, with an honest victory. The guy caught the ball, it was a touchdown at the end of the game. Just a great win for Tulane and their program. Really is.
Yep.
Shocking.
It was. It was an amazing finish for Tulane to come back and win that game. I said to the people I was with on New Year's Eve, New Year's Eve, when Michigan lost that game, and by the way,
Michigan and Murfreesboro.
I did think about Michigan and Murfreesboro.
Man.
He called in. He was Nervous Nelly last week about that game. And you know what? Nervous Nelly was probably the right approach because TCU was just simply the better team.
Man.
They were, and they ended up winning. They were the better team, and he was nervous for good reason. And now TCU's in the championship game. But I said to the group of people that I was around, I have a feeling that's going to be Jim Harbaugh's last game at Michigan.
Yeah.
This is where he bounces to the NFL.
The rumors are flying right now.
Flying.
Denver, Carolina.
Yes. I mean, Heather Dinich just tweeted out in the last 5 minutes. Source, Panthers owner and Jim Harbaugh have talked about their head coaching vacancy.
Mm-hmm. And the other report says the Broncos have reached out to him about their coaching vacancy. So,
And I'm sure Indy will be in the mix as well.
He's going to have some.
I don't think they're bringing. Do you think they're bringing Jeff Saturday back? I mean,
no.
No.
You can't do that. No.
I don't think so.
No.
So I think, Indy could be in play. The problem with all those teams is what? Well, I guess Denver we can't. I don't know. Is this Russell Wilson?
They don't have a quarterback.
They
don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, the other two don't have a quarterback.
Denver has a quarterback, kind of, if you can figure out how to make him work again.
Yeah, there's that. All right, let's step away for the final time this hour. Come back and wrap up the first hour of the McFarland Show next.
Now's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book right now. New customers, no sweat, first bet up to $1,000 free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Sign up with the promo code GregP. FanDuel has all the kind of ways you want to play, from the money line to point spreads, player props to same-game parlays, live betting, updated odds, in-game, on and on and on. And it's all the sports, right? It's all the sports. And all that on that app. It's safe, secure, super easy to use. Sign up today, promo code GregP for that no sweat first bet. Promo code GregP.
That's promo code GregP.
Indeed. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now you got to be 21 and older, present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable. Free bets expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hey Nashville, Ray here from Run With It. Let me tell you about our sponsor, Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House. And with 4 locations in Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Spring Hill, and East Nashville, they're your home for the best gourmet pizza and craft beers in Music City. Join me on Monday nights at the East Nashville location for poker night. And if you think you know everything, try Wednesday night trivia at both locations. Gourmet pizzas, craft beers, online at BoomBozz.com. Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House.
It's a Bill King Show.
If Nick coached another 7-8 years, I would not be shocked at all. I wouldn't be. Now, I'm not predicting it because I don't think you can predict that kind of thing. We don't know that. If he coached to 80, I would not be flabbergasted.
Weekday mornings beginning at 6 on Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM.
Kelly Holcomb to begin the second hour with us. The league being the National Football League, has put out that right now they will not make up the Cincinnati-Buffalo game this week. And there's no scheduled time frame for that right now. I suspect you're probably onto something, what you said earlier in the show. If they don't need that game, they won't play that game.
And I don't know how all of that plays out, because it would seem like they would need that game. However,
it does seem that way, yes.
You know, they both have already secured playoff spots. Granted, they were both going for, I know Buffalo at least was going for the number 1 seed at the time and still have the opportunity to get that. But, you know, it depends on what the NFL decides to do. I'm sure there's all kinds of suggestions on the table about what could be done, essentially, to try to make this work. But to me, the other big issue that's going to be in the room is, are the Buffalo Bills going to get back on the football field at all? Not just to play the Bengals, to play anybody else after something like this. I mean, potentially they've got another game against New England coming up here on Sunday. And if, you know, Mr. Hamlin is still in the hospital, or if his life is still hanging in the balance, are those guys going to be able to go out there and play?
Or heaven forbid it
heaven
doesn't
forbid
happen.
It goes the other direction.
Right. So then what
are they going to be able to go out there and what do you do then?
Right. Yeah.
What do you do then? You know, this is not a team that was 2-13 and their season was over anyway.
Right.
This is a team that was right in the thick of
playing
things.
for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is their year.
They're equipped to win it all.
So, I mean, and you're trying to figure all of that out without being insensitive to the fact that there is a young man who has his whole entire life in front of him that is in critical condition right now after a tackle on the field. You know, and it seems insensitive to even think about such things. Well, what about next week? Next week? And this man sitting is in critical condition, and you thinking about next week. It's a very complicated story. It's complicated and difficult and personal, and it means something. These aren't fantasy football players. These are human beings with families and mothers and fathers and the whole nine.
Yeah. Look, this is why they get paid the big bucks, because they're going to have to make some incredibly tough decisions, and I don't.
And
I don't pretend to know
no way
where they're going
be
with
happy
this.
about this, no matter what they do.
And I'm not envious of not being a part of that process at all.
Yeah.
And if I was, I would want a whole lot more money.
And listen, you and I have covered the NFL for quite some time. You know, Darren, like I do, when the NFL gets quiet, like they are now, that means serious conversations are going on.
Yep.
And they're really quiet. Even from the guys out there they're quiet right now. Not a lot's being said.
Another thing that happened is Josh Dobbs has officially been named the starter against Jacksonville. We'll also get Kelly's reaction to that. What he thinks that means for Dobbs. More importantly, what does he think that means for Malik Willis?
Yeah.
We'll find out what Kelly has to say about a lot of things to begin the second hour of the McFarland Show. Those are all things on tap. WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio.
On air and online, Sports Radio, WNSR, Brentwood, Nashville.
ABC News. I'm Derek Dennis. A second round of voting ends for electing the next House Speaker. GOP leader Kevin McCarthy failing again to get the 218 votes needed in the first round and the second round to secure the leadership vote. Members of his own party blocked him. Democrats voted for Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker. ABC News political director Rick Klein says it exposed lingering problems within the Republican Party.
The bigger issue, I think, to keep in mind is that this chaos that we're about to see play out, and we've seen playing out over the last couple of weeks, is a symptom and is not a cause. It is a symptom of a Republican Party that in a lot of ways has not reckoned with the reality of its own divisions, hasn't reckoned with the disappointing election results of 2 months ago, and is finding new fault lines even at a time where they're looking to come together.
It's the first time in a century a speaker was not chosen in the first round. The new House term cannot begin its business until a speaker is chosen. In Brazil, soccer legend Pelé laid to rest today in a private ceremony in the city of Santos. This is ABC News.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs
and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am Hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
I'm Dr. Stork. Why give your family just ordinary eggs when they can enjoy the best? Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition compared to ordinary eggs. With 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, 25% less saturated fat, and 38% more lutein. Because the way we care is anything but ordinary. Only Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Nashville's first curling venue is here at T-Line Nashville. Come check out T-Line Nashville and experience the world's fastest growing winter sport today. Curling is a fun and simple sport that's a perfect outing for friends, corporate events, families, or parties. T-Line also has classic bowling and modern bowling mini games. With over 20 HD TVs, you can come watch your favorite teams and some of the best food and drinks here in Nashville in the large bar and grill area. They also have an outdoor area with a fire pit, and you can't forget the live music. T-Line Nashville is a one-stop shop for a great night out. Located at 106 Duluth Avenue and online at tlinenash.com. You can book your party now or give them a call at 615-439-1024. That's 615-439-1024. And make sure you give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook at T-Line Nash for all the news, events, and updates. T-Line Nashville. Nashville's first curling venue is here.
Listen, you can't handle the truth. It's about to go off. Live from the WNSR Strike and Spare studios.
Just a bit outside.
Now back to the McFarland Show with Darren McFarland and Fox 17's Justin McFarland.
Show me the money!
Call now at 615-844-5600.
Oh, righty there.
Now the McFarland Show with Darren and Justin.
Final hour here on this Tuesday afternoon. Darren and Justin here with you. We are live at the Strike and Spare Family Fun Center studio. Let's head down the road south of town in Rutherford County, my backyard. Former MTSU quarterback, former Buffalo Bills quarterback, Kelly Holcomb is on the line with us. Kelly, Happy New Year.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
I wanted to start with what took place last night because for two guys like Justin and I who never played the game at the level that you did, you played it basically, most of your life you have dedicated to the sport of football. And to see something like that and just have the effect that it's had on people, just wanted to ask you what it was like as a former player, somebody who spent a long time playing in the league. Did you ever have anything like this ever happened to you over all the years you played, of a teammate or somebody you were playing against?
I don't think anybody's had that experience.
Okay.
There, and I think that's why it's so close to everybody's heart right now. It's just I don't think I've ever seen a guy, take a hit like that and then get up and just fall. And what transpired after that was just it's just a tragedy. It's just tragic, man. It's I was at I actually didn't see the game. I've seen the replays, obviously, but I was at the Lipscomb girls women's basketball game watching my daughter last night, and my oldest daughter came to me and she's like, "Did you see what happened at the Bills game?" And I'm like, "No." And she was like, "They've got they're out on the field. There's a guy that dropped on the field, and they got a 10 out on the field." And I'm like, that is, I knew something was, that's different. That's different. And then I really didn't think much about it. I'm like, well, he'll be okay. And then there was an elderly man that was watching the game after the game, and he came up to me and he said, did you see the football game? And I'm like, no. And he said, I think that kid died. And when he said that, I'm like, I had a lump in my throat. I was like sick for a second, because that's a game that we love, that I've grown up playing. I owe my life to football, and all the guys that played at the highest level owe our life to football. And it's been such an integral part of our life. And then to see something like that happen, you just don't have words. I think Ryan Clark, I'm sure you watched him last night with Scott Van Pelt. I thought Ryan Clark he was outstanding. I thought he did such an eloquent job of describing that, because there's no description for it. We've never seen anything like that in our lives. And for something like that to happen, it was the game of the week. Everybody wanted to see that game. It was on national TV. And what transpired, it's kind of, you're just like, did that really just happen? And I don't know where you go from there. I mean, it's one of those, I was thinking about it because I knew I had to come on the radio with you guys, but I was thinking about it after all the games that have been played throughout the history of the game, thousands of football games. I don't know if we've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen anything like that? I've never seen anything like that.
Not like that.
Not quite like that. No.
Not quite like that. And I know that, if you go back, there's, I think his last name was Hughes. I mean, it's been well documented. I think, the 70s, the Lions.
Yeah.
Or 1970, actually.
Yeah.
So I'd just been born. So I don't remember that. None of us have ever seen anything like that. And I think that's where I was going next, Kelly. Like, you've been around probably some of the toughest people that you've ever met in your life, right? I mean, I've said this for a long time on the radio. Back when they used to let us on the sidelines, the media, I've watched NFL games from the sidelines. They don't obviously do that anymore. I've said this for a long time. I don't know how you played the sport as long as you did. I don't know how anybody gets up after every play. It is a train wreck, a 10-car pileup every single play with large human beings going at a very, very fast speed. And you have to be just wired differently to play that sport, is the way I've put it.
That's what I was going to say, man. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about Tua and all the concussions that he's had. And they absolutely didn't understand, because I said, I've had 8 in my life, and not all of them were football, but the majority of them were, that I could document, that I knew that I was knocked out. But it takes different people to play that game. It takes I would go, and it's probably going to make people angry, when I say these things, but I would go do it again. I know that there's guys that have retired and have had a bunch of concussions, and they've all said that I don't want my son playing that. But, I would go back and do it again if I could do it, Darren. It's just a different mentality, and I thought Ryan Clark did an outstanding job with talking about we are just used to injuries. And he alluded on the fact when he was at LSU that somebody got hurt in practice, and they just moved the drill down 15 yards.
Yep.
And I've had that happen a dozen times in my life. That just happened. But last night it was different. I think that, and I heard Stephen A. Smith talk about it, I think that, for one, I don't know why. Of course, the NFL didn't know how severe the injury was. So they were talking about trying to play, which was ridiculous. And, you got to commend Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott for saying, no, we're not playing. Because they saw something that was life-altering. That was very traumatic to those guys. They've never seen anything like that. And normally when a guy gets hurt, you bring the stretcher out. If you have to bring the stretcher out, he gives you a thumbs up, and we're good. We can go play ball again.
Everybody claps and we move on.
Everybody claps, and we're all good. We know he's good. Well, after they took him off in the ambulance, 15 minutes later, if word gets back to the field and word gets back to everybody on the sideline, those players, hey, he's good. He's giving us a thumbs up. He's awake. He's talking to everybody. Everybody would have been fine. But then when that didn't happen, that's different, man. That is really different. That shows you that, life and being a human being is really more important than a football game. And that was just something what we saw last night. It wouldn't change my mind about playing the game, Darren. It really wouldn't, because we all know going into it that it's a violent sport, and you get injuries and things like that happen. I can, and I'll give you another, for instance, and I wasn't there. I just left. But it happened to the Buffalo Bills again. I don't know if you remember Kevin Everett. Do you remember him?
I don't think I remember. I don't think I know where you're going with this.
I do. I remember the situation.
Yeah, he was a tight end. He was from the University of Miami. He was a rookie when I was there my last year. And a couple of years later, he got hit, and he had a spinal cord injury, and he laid on the ground. And the doc up there, Dr. Cappuccino, he rushed to the scene, obviously. And, a lot of times what ruptures the spine is the inflammation that goes there. Mm-hmm. And he was smart enough. He knew that. He's a neurologist. He knew that. And he gave him a shot when it slowed the inflammation down. And Kevin Everett can walk, but he was on the road to being paralyzed. And that was kind of a different deal. I wasn't there for that, but I've been on the field where, guys get knocked out and they go limp, but it's, they come to. But that last night, what we saw was just, man, it was scary. It was different. Nobody had ever seen that. And I think that, that's why America's looking at this. I mean, you listen to all the coverage after the game last night. You got Bengals fans and you got Bills fans going to the hospital.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's and that's what brings people together. They all, they can't stand you on the football field because you're not their team. But really, when it comes down to it, we're human beings playing a sport to entertain them. And I think you saw true humanity last night with people praying and visibly shaking, crying, football players that are in the best shape of their lives, some of the most highly tuned athletes in the world, and they were breaking down. Yeah. And, that was just it was different. It was literally different last night, and that was, I certainly hope that everything turns out well. But I don't think you could have. Just think. I was thinking too. If you got kids, because this happens all the time, and now I understand why my wife reads all the time, and it gets on my nerves. But when my son was playing baseball, she always had him wearing a chest protector over his heart, because she had read so many stories of kids that had gotten hit straight in the heart with a baseball, and they end up dying, which is, it gets the heart out of rhythm. And I don't know all that. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. But
no, Kelly. No, it is. Listen, I've been reading up on all this stuff, and this, again, I said this at the beginning of the show, the medical term, I'm not even going to pretend to say it, that was circulating last night. Believe it or not, they're saying this is more prominent in baseball than in football. So your wife is dead on.
It's a real thing.
She's right.
No, that's absolutely. I mean, she would always say to me, because we're like, we were running out the door because we were late sometimes, and she would go, "Have you got his chest protector?" "No, I don't have his chest protector." "Well, go get his chest protector." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't have one when I played," But he always wore a chest protector, and that's the exact reason why. I mean, they'll start looking at that. They've been so adamant about concussions and with all the helmets and with, leading with the head and doing all that. And you see, I was watching a video this morning about where they slowed it down and see him get hit right in the heart, and his whole body concaves and his head goes forward on T. Martin's back. And it's just like he got hit hard. Yeah. It doesn't look like but those happen every, there's been thousands of hits like that.
Yeah.
And it just never happened that way. That's just, it was eye-opening. But I just think that last night when all those fans and everybody got together, it showed the true humanity of what was going on, and everybody was really concerned about a young man that was entertaining us that is really in a life-threatening situation. I couldn't imagine being on the field and they were actually hitting him, trying to get his heart to start.
Kelly,
I could not imagine that.
Did anybody ever in your family or, extended family, aunts, uncles, a grandmother, anybody ever express concern about you when you were playing football? Did they ever come to you and say, Kelly, I saw you get hit the other day. I'm concerned about you, nephew, grandson, whatever. And the football, I know you love it, but it's just too rough. Did anybody ever come to you and have those kind of conversations about the roughness of the game and your long-term health outside of the football community? Somebody close to you who never played the game, who maybe doesn't understand?
No, nobody. None of my family ever did that. They never. They absolutely never did that. It was. I got a phone. Sorry, I got a phone call coming in. But nobody ever said nobody ever said that to me. You didn't think about that, and I'll be honest with you too. Up until the last 10 or 15 years, we never thought about concussions either.
Yeah,
you just got your bell rang. Yeah.
Yep. Good point.
Yeah, you got your bell rang. I mean, I can remember. I can remember going into locker rooms in college, and then especially in the pros, where they've got a football player up, on a board, and they show all the injuries that you can have, but nothing ever said anything about your head. So, that was, when I played, nobody ever thought about that. I can remember I got knocked out my very first scrimmage at MTSU. I was knocked cold. And I can remember, Coach Donnelly and our Mr. Camp, which was our trainer who passed away, God rest his soul, he passed away a couple months ago, but they were holding me, and me being the stubborn, stupid kid that I was, I told Coach Donnelly to let me go, and when they let me go, I almost fell. And then Coach Donnelly was actually smiling at me and thought it was funny, but I was back practicing the next day.
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought about that. I mean, that was, but you know what? That would never sway my decision to play the game that I love. And I don't know what it is in my brain, man. I don't know what it is in our brains that condition us to do that. But I would, if I had it to do all over again. Now, there's some things I would do different, obviously. But I love the game of football, and I still love it to this day. And I would do it all over again, even knowing what happened last night, or even knowing the problems with concussions, or even knowing about spinal cord injuries. There's nothing in this life that gives you a rush like playing professional. There's nothing in life that can do that for you instead of playing professional football. I've been out of it for now 15 years, and I still, if somebody told me I could go back today and play for a quarter or for 10 plays, I would hop on it.
Kelly, switching gears very quick to the Titan situation, and I'm not even going to ask you to try to compare and contrast Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs. What I am going to ask you, though, sir, you mentioned playing again. Let's say you were able to go out there and play again. Let's say I called you and said, Kelly, we're going to come into an NFL football game, and you're going to be my starting quarterback, and the game is in 8 days, Kelly. 8 days. And by the way, everybody else has been playing for 14, 15 weeks. You're the one that's got to come in here and play after just 8 days. How difficult is it to do that on a professional level out here and against the best football players in the world?
It's pretty rough. Baker Mayfield did it in 2 days and won a game.
Yes, sir.
On a 2-minute drive at the end of the game a couple of weeks ago, which was kind of unbelievable. But, he's obviously played and got more experience. Josh Dobbs, that was the first game he's ever started. So that's a difficult thing to do. Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you with my cocky attitude, if you allow me the opportunity, I'll go do it. And I can go do it. And I can still hit a flea off a fly's tail, if you know what I'm saying. But it's really, it's tough. The terminology, and this is what I tell people all the time. The terminology with every coach is different. Where, You can call it a curl route, you can call it a hook route, you can call it a stop route, you can call it a button route, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but it's still the same thing. You can call a drag route, a drive route, I don't know what else, other things you can call. But, you just got to flip that in your mind with saying, well, I went from throwing a drag route to now it's the West Coast drive route. Okay. You can kind of, because I stayed with pretty much the same offense a long time in my career, and then I had to go learn, the West Coast offense. I went to Buffalo and I learned Mike Mularkey's offense, which he brought to Tennessee. But it's not easy, and the thing about it is you have to get. It's the players that you got to mesh with is the big deal. I mean, you can stay up late at night, you can study plays, and like I said, you can look at a slant, and we're going to call it a slant this way, a hitch this way, a stop route is different than a comeback. I mean, things like that. You can kind of fix it in your mind, say, well, here's how I used to do it, now here's how I'm doing it now. But the quality time you're going to get on the practice field with the players that you're actually going to play with and see how they run routes. And, you've got to be honed up on your protections as a young guy, because if you don't know who's blocked, you're going to get hit in your mouth. Mm. And that was always the big deal to me. I'm not one of those Lamar Jackson type guys or, Malik Willis type guys that can run around and can make plays with their face. I'm not that guy. I'm going to beat you with my mind. I'm going to get blocked up. I'm going to get rid of the ball. And, it is a tough deal to come in 8 days and, because now the Titans are fighting for their life against Jacksonville. If they win, am I correct? If they win, they go to the playoffs.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. They host a playoff game.
Yeah, win and
that's what's on the line. Win, and you host a playoff game.
Oh wow, yeah, and you're going against a team that is really starting to hit its stride.
Very hot.
Really starting to come together, and Trevor Lawrence is starting to figure out, hey, this pro thing's a little bit different than college, but he's kind of starting to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Kelly, real quick on the way out, because we got about a minute. What does this mean? Because you've been around it a long time, and you've been in these situations as a starter and a backup. What does it tell Kelly Holcomb that they decided to go with Josh Dobbs over a guy that they drafted in the third round?
Oh, that's tough. That's a tough deal. My son has had they had a situation at Troy where they were looking for a backup, and of course he was redshirting this year, but they brought a lot of guys in, and those guys didn't do it, and then they had to go out and get Jarrett Dagey, the guy that was at West Virginia. So if you're Malik Willis and you're sitting back, that's probably a stroke to your confidence because you were the guy that they drafted and have brought in, and we've got a guy that we just got off the street, and he's been here for a couple of days, and now we're going to start him over the guy that's been here all year, and we're expecting something out of the future. So, I mean, that's a tough deal, Darren. That's a tough deal, guys. I mean, when you start thinking about that, you can't let your confidence wane. But man, that's tough on it. Confidence is a very thin line, and when something like that happens, they bring a guy in and they name him the starter for the most important game of the year. It says a lot to me.
Yep, that's kind of how we feel about it. Kelly, really good stuff. Really appreciate it as always.
Thank you, sir.
We will check in with you down the road. And again, Happy New Year.
All right, sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
Kelly Holcomb, former longtime quarterback, MTSU, Bills, Browns. He's been spent a long time in the National Football League, and that was great perspective from Kelly on what took place last night in Cincinnati. We're wide open the rest of the way. 615-844-5600 is how you can get in touch with us. Jacksonville is the next opponent for the Titans, and it's pretty interesting. There's some news coming out of Jacksonville. It's concerning their stadium. I'll tell you what's going on. Sounds familiar. We'll tell you what that's all about on the other side here on the McFarland Show.
Located at 5410 Murfreesboro Road in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers is one-stop shopping for all your liquor, beer, and wine needs and has been a multiple winner annually in the Best of Rutherford County voting for Best Liquor Store and Top Wine Shop. Featuring the lowest prices, the best customer service with unsurpassed knowledge, City Slickers offers the largest craft beer selection in Rutherford and southeastern Davidson counties and has beer on tap at its Growler filling station. City Slickers also sells mixers, sodas, snacks, tobacco products, and the Tennessee Lottery, and can place special orders and assist with all your events and even wedding planning. Make sure you follow City Slickers on all their social media or just give them a call at 615-280-7469. That's 615-280-7469. Located in the heart of Laverne, City Slickers.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-785-9132. That's 800-785-9132. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-785-9132.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
WNSR Nashville Sports Radio would like to take this time to say congratulations to Greg Poe. Greg is a member of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. Greg Poe has been a standard and staple of Nashville sports media. Congratulations to Greg Poe and the rest of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. From your friends and family at WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
Fantastic perspective from Kelly Holcomb. 615-844-5600 is how you can get in touch with us. First show of 2023. It does put, speaking of perspective, it puts it all in perspective when you see grown men that play a very violent sport. And as we talked about in that interview, you have to be wired a little bit differently to play in the National Football League. And just losing it on the field, that tells you it's pretty darn serious.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're around injuries, they're around pain, they're around tough situations all the time. And there they are on national television, and that was just a whole different light.
Yeah,
you don't see that.
The difference in what happened last night versus your average injury is, a lot of times we call, and I've taken it out of my vocabulary because of some experiences I've had in my career. But we used to call football war. You're going to war. You're going to battle. You're going to war, going to battle. Well, real war is when you go somewhere and sometimes everybody doesn't come back, okay? You go somewhere, you come back, and then the other guys, they don't come back. And every veteran can talk about people who didn't come back. The NFL...
Wasn't it Kellen Winslow, the tight end for the Browns?
Yeah.
Didn't he use that reference?
Soldier.
I'm a soldier.
Yeah, and all this.
And it really offended a lot of people, as you can imagine.
And in my news career, those trips to Fort Campbell and doing those deployment ceremonies and the return ceremonies, and then that moment in the return when they pause for the 7 people who didn't come back from the group that just left 7 months ago. Yeah. That'll let you know. In the NFL, regardless win or lose, everybody who went out the tunnel with you 3 hours ago, 3 hours later, win or lose, everybody's coming back in the tunnel. We're not actually leaving anybody out here. You know, people get hurt. Maybe you're limping back. Maybe you didn't play well, but everybody's coming back. Everybody's going home. Last night, somebody didn't go home. Last night, somebody went to a hospital. Last night, somebody doesn't know where they are. They sedated this young man. He's asleep right now. He's not even conscious to know what happened to him.
And reports, he's not breathing on his own. Like, that's different. That's
different than, somebody, had a Joe Theismann injury and they broke their leg and it's really bad. No. Last night, for the first time, somebody almost and realistically did not come off the field with the rest of the guys that went out there. And you pledge allegiance to trying to protect these guys and we're a team and all this other stuff, and somebody almost didn't come back. And that's why this is shaking everyone to the core like it is, because we talk about it like it's a battle. We talk about it like it's a war. But real war has real casualties, and we almost had one last night.
Yeah. I think I was trying to think about it last night. I didn't want to put anything out there because I don't know. I thought it was premature. I wanted to really think about it. What was the closest of, when things get really weird at a sporting event and quiet, and it's different. It's a different feel. It's a different vibe. I will say, and again, nothing's going to be at the same level as this.
Yeah.
Because this is, when you're talking about bringing somebody back, I mean, that's different level stuff right there.
Yeah.
Okay? It's CPR, and you're seeing when you see players react that way.
9 minutes of CPR.
That's
9
graphic.
minutes.
They saw some graphic stuff that we were not privy to on television.
Mm-hmm.
We did. They were huddled around. That was all taken out. They didn't show that stuff, right? What was really, really going on down on the field.
Yeah.
I think a live event. Again, and you kind of knew what had happened. You knew it was a broken something. Kevin Fiala, 2017 second round playoffs in St. Louis. Preds, Blues.
Yeah.
I was there. And whenever the stretchers come out for a hockey game and the medical teams rush out onto the ice with a stretcher immediately, that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah.
And this is the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it was St. Louis. They kind of like their hockey. And it was loud in there. And you could hear a pin drop for a good 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they roll him across the ice. He's got to go to the other side of the ice, down a tunnel.
Yeah.
And again, he's in a cast. You know at that point, something was broken. Is that bad? Sure, of course.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah, it's bad.
Not good. But, I mean, it's like you said, he's going to get casted or he's going to be in a boot or what.
Yeah.
And, he's going to be all right. So, you get the golf clap eventually. So that was the only thing I could think of that was during that time, you don't really know what's going on. You suspect and you kind of have an idea, but you don't really know what's going on. Again, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. I was just trying to think of what it would have been like there. That time frame was a lot longer, and it was just quiet, right? And it's a scary – and then you see player reaction. Yeah, player reaction to that is not good because a teammate is fallen and it's not good. But it's still, again, not to the level. They played the game. Right,
Yeah.
They went on and played the game. But I was just trying to think of. I've been in a lot of sporting
events
where players get injured.
Yeah,
but there's a whole different level of an injury. You brought up in a tweet early this morning of a Titans game against the Steelers.
You and I were both there, and it was November of 2004, and it was Tommy Maddox, quarterback for the Steelers. who got hit while throwing the ball and went down. And when he went down, he didn't move.
No.
He lied
Motionless.
perfectly still,
Yep.
motionless for several minutes. And the urgency of the Steelers staff who rushed out, and if you're wondering what I'm talking about, or maybe you're too young, you don't remember, it's up on my Twitter feed right now. If the NFL or whoever doesn't take it down, it's up there. You can go look at the play for yourself because I will never forget it. I was in the game sitting in the press box, and when I saw Tommy Maddox did not move, I feared the worst. I thought that maybe we had lost Tommy Maddox right there in that moment, in that hit. Fortunately, we did not. They eventually got Tommy Maddox stabilized. They took off his face mask.
They took his face mask off.
Which again, everybody, you have to this was 2004, okay? Not, they do that all the time. Not in 2004 they didn't.
18 years ago, it was like, what?
No, they
Whoa.
did not. No, they didn't. They took his face mask off. Now, he was alert and awake, but, we didn't know that at first. They rode an ambulance onto the field. Not just one waiting out. No. Through the tunnel on the grass. Put Tommy Maddox in the ambulance and took him to the hospital. And the hush over that crowd for that 15 to 20 minutes while that was happening was something I will never forget, because that place was bonkers up until that moment when you realize that we almost lost somebody out here, or we don't even know what we're looking at.
Yep.
And granted, that was not CPR. That was not what happened last night. I don't want to try to, say it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. But it was a moment where the players and the fans acted in a very similar nature to what we saw last night because of the uncertainty of this human being that's out here laying on the ground.
It's a very good example. And, yes, I remember that well. We were both there. And you're right. 18 years ago, they weren't peeling off a face mask.
I didn't even know they can get it off. I didn't even know how they did that. Yeah.
It's not taping. They're like putting him on the stretcher, the board, and they've got his head secured with, he's not moving.
Perfectly still.
Yeah.
They made sure everything was as stable as possible, carefully lifting him up and loading him on to the ambulance, which, then we realized, Darren, why do they make the tunnels but so wide? Why do they make it accessible to the road? Well, this is why. So they can get an emergency situation, they can get an ambulance on and off this field, which they did. And by the way, Tommy Maddox is fine. Tommy Maddox, I looked it up last night when I posted the clip. He's coaching baseball down in Texas. He's out there living his life. But for a brief moment there in 2004 in November, it was awfully scary for him. And, a lot of people have moments like that where it really, really will shake the way you look at this game that we enjoy, but this game that has consequences for certain.
Look, Rod Reed can absolutely weigh in on this.
Oh, absolutely.
And Derek Mason could weigh in on this. There was a scary, scary situation in the Vanderbilt Tennessee State game in 2018.
Yep, I was there.
Christian Abercrombie.
I was in attendance.
You were there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then you're better equipped to talk about this than me.
No, I mean,
I was watching it.
No.
I was watching it. I was not there, but that was a scary, scary scene. And thank goodness Vanderbilt Hospital was right there.
It was right there. And they were able to get to him. And that young man never played football again.
No.
Christian Abercrombie never played football again. But he was able to get back. He graduated from college. And he's on living a productive life outside of the game of football.
But he, too, was fighting for his life.
Yes, he was. And his mother actually reached out today. His mother has been very vocal on social media today, as a matter of fact, offering prayers and any support that she can give after going through what she went through. Stacy is the mother's name. Stacy Abercrombie went through and talked about, exactly all the different things and how it's possible to get a road back to recovery, and miracles do happen, is what she said in her particular situation that happened over there between Tennessee State and Vanderbilt on a freakish type of play that can happen, though. But he suffered head injuries in that particular case. He did.
They finished the game.
They did finish the game. And they finished the Titans-Steelers game, too. As a matter of fact, there's the video, and I don't know if I put this part in or not. As soon as the tire track left, as soon as the last piece of the tire left the grass, the referee blew the whistle and they resumed play. Yeah. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that is what they did, and I know maybe we do need to pause and think about what are we doing here in these situations in regards to this. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, last night, the difference was last night was on national television.
It was.
It was on ABC and ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
There were millions and millions and millions of people watching that game. There was heavy significance of the outcome of that game, and it was the game. It was the game. They were on the lone stage.
Yeah.
If it was Week 17 noon kickoff, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If I'm
being perfectly honest, I don't know.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know what they would have. But last night, because of the significance of it being on national television, the standalone game, and social media, and everything that took place, it was different than because we just stated examples. By the way, that TSU that was no different. Okay, TSU Vanderbilt. Now Was he on the field or on the sidelines when they were?
He was on the sidelines.
Sidelines, right? When
the episode happened,
yes.
But clearly the episode happened on the field, like
Correct.
The actual play happened. You know, the reason why it happened was on the field.
Yeah.
The actual play itself, but no. You're right, Darren. Once the spotlight is on, and people start reacting on social media,
millions of people
on other platforms the way that they did, it's just a matter of time.
Yep.
Because now you have listen, you got the governors of states now tweeting about thoughts and once they're watching and other people are. I mean, it's a whole new level.
Well, and all the players in the NFL.
Yes.
Now remember, if they're all playing, if it was a noon kickoff. They're not all glued to the television. They're not sitting there watching. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you for certain it would have been the same outcome.
Yeah,
I really can't.
They're not all watching
because
like
we got loads of examples of pretty scary scenes where they did finish the games. They went on.
They did.
Okay, and last night was a little bit different. All right, we will come back. By the way, 615-844-5600. More of the McFarland Show next.
Are you looking for a trusted partner who knows AT&T business inside and out? ABS Communications is an organization built on the premise that telecom solutions and working with companies like AT&T can often be complicated, and the customer needs someone to help them navigate through these complexities. They make complex simple. Whether it's helping maintain, manage, or secure your business, ABS Communications is here to help with all your business telecom and mobility needs. Their business was built with the goal of simplifying the process of connectivity for the customer and establishing a long-term relationship of trust through transparency and accountability. ABS Communications is a top 5 AT&T authorized agent with over 200 years of AT&T technical experience. You can call Mark and the gang at 615-349-8588, or you can visit their website at abscomm.net. And remember, mention the McFarland Show to ABS, and you could get up to $250 in a Visa gift card for new ABS business customers.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. When the prospect of divorce becomes a reality, you need a partner that you can count on. If you're a man in this situation, consider contacting Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men navigate complex legal matters for 30 years.
Online at CordellCordell.com, 317-322-0122, 101 West Ohio Street, Suite 1250, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
From the big game to the big dance, Bar Lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel downtown is your game day and watch party headquarters. Don't worry about entertaining guests and trying to feed everyone. Sit back, relax, cheer on your team, and let the Bar Line staff take care of you. Grab a Bar Line signature cocktail and enjoy some wicked deviled eggs or a Bar Line's double stack, and finish it off with some Jack and Coke chocolate cake. Bust your belly and your bracket at Bar Line, located in the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown.
It's a Bill King Show.
Smoked a turkey. Smoked it about 9 hours. You know the little red button? I've never liked that, first of all, and I don't trust it. The internal temperature is what you should trust, not the stupid red button. That red button never popped out either, and I was starting to get worried because my wife likes the red button. I don't.
Weekday mornings beginning at 6 on Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM.
Emotional show today, reacting to last night. I told you we would never be able to cram everything into today's show. We'll have all week to digest everything that's happened in the sports world since we got off the air at 4 o'clock on Friday. And that's been a whole lot of stuff.
So much.
615-844-5600 is how you can get in touch with us. Let's go back to the phones. Clay is in Nashville. Clay, what's up?
Hey, Darren, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing okay. Interesting you said that because that's what I was going to ask about. What is the latest update on this young man? Because I've certainly been affected by it. I was watching the game when it happened. It was really scary. And just reading some comments that Pitt's coach said when he played for Pitt, I mean, this kid was a second-team All-ACC player, and Pitt's coach was quoted as saying that everything they did defensively kind of rotated around this guy. So this is a pretty good football player that's fighting for his life.
Yeah, I've seen stuff circulating on Narduzzi. I don't know who caught up with him today or where that happened, Clay. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen a lot of quotes from Narduzzi, the head coach at Pitt. Former, what was he, the defensive coordinator at Michigan State before he got that job? He's been at Pitt now for a while.
I think so.
Yeah, no, look, this guy's a sixth-round pick that because, he got an opportunity early on in the season because of their injuries to be a starter and hasn't looked back. He's been their starter ever since. This is going all the way back to September, so he's a big part of what they do on defense.
Yeah, so basically, it sounds like they pretty much induced a coma. Is that kind of what y'all gather?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I assume that's kind of still the situation. I just hope the kid is going to be okay. And my prayers go out to his family, his friends, his teammates, all of that. So I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, Clay.
Thank you, Clay.
Thoughts and prayers are certainly with the Hamlin family. It is scary stuff, and who knows where this is going. Everybody is – this is no longer a sports story.
Oh, no.
This is a national story.
No, it's worldwide.
This was on –
it's a worldwide – no, literally. They're covering this in Europe and in Asia. Yeah, I mean, they're talking about this. Quite literally. It's everywhere. It's a national and worldwide news story. And the reaction is so as well, which is why the NFL is being so careful because they know they're being judged heavily about their response to this. And they're fighting for, to kind of keep control of their league here a little bit. People already have a view of the NFL as a barbaric sport. And if one of their players, has something like this happen to them on the field, it gets fairly rough out there. And so, no, the NFL is being very careful about what they do next.
Anything? Is Clay still there? Anything else, Clay?
Oh, is Clay still? I'm sorry.
I guess he's gone.
No, okay.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
we were last night. I will tell you, we were actually, Lauren and I were doing baseball stuff for our baseball team because we've got an event Thursday evening to Strike and Spare in Murfreesboro. We're excited about that. We're all going to get together.
Cool.
And we were trying to put together the spring schedule and everything we're going to go over with everybody. So we had it on in the room that we're in, and it's, I'm paying attention, but I'm not paying close attention. We're heavily involved in trying to get all of our ducks in a row for Thursday night at Strike and Spare in Murfreesboro. And of course, when that happened, it stopped.
Yeah, everything
and
stops.
I will tell you this.
Yeah.
We never got back to it.
No.
We stayed with it the rest of the night and just never got back. We just we're going to put this on hold and we'll have to pick it up tonight.
Yeah.
Because it just, at that point, we had watched all the coverage and it's we're not going back to baseball stuff right now.
It's hard to think about anything else when things like this happen.
Yeah. Let's go down to Columbia. Nate is up next. Nate, what's up?
Afternoon, guys. I normally don't even make my entire way through the Monday night football games. And like most of who we've spoken with today, I wasn't even watching it when it happened. I was doing some last-minute Christmas light viewing at a local park, I guess you could say, in Nashville. And so we got the alert on our phones from, the different outlets saying what happened, and I turned my phone on right away to ESPN, and I didn't stop watching until SVP stopped last night.
Yeah.
I just was hoping that we would find something or hear something that, would be very, uplifting. But unfortunately, we didn't get that last night. And I never really watched SVP really at all. And, yeah, they did a great job. And it was great insight. And, yeah, just hope everybody can take a step back, and especially at different sporting events tonight, like at the Preds game, and not go as crazy as you might go if something doesn't go your way. Just kind of, have some perspectives.
Yep. Good call, Nate. Thank you.
Happy
New Year.
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. I too, I stayed up till at least midnight. I couldn't stop. I too was like Nate, just searching for hopefully good news. And, they kept checking in the hospital or outside the hospital. So I just stayed with it. I could not go to sleep. And it was after midnight. I just stayed with all their coverage. I couldn't turn it off.
Yeah, at first there was going to be a press conference. Then they called off the press conference. And, there's so many moving parts behind the scenes here that we don't know about with this. And so many decisions being made that still have yet to be released here. But eventually, we're going to have much larger conversations than just the concerns about this one person here, eventually.
Yep. We'll come back. We'll step away for the final time, come back and wrap up Tuesday's edition of the McFarland Show next.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Gallatin Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today and get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, that's a free bet back. Your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with the promo code WNSR. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Super easy to use. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with the promo code WNSR. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 years of age or older and present here in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued, non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire 14 days after the receipt. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
NFL Plus is here, which means no matter where you are, this is how you football. You can stream live, local, and primetime regular season games on your phone or tablet, 45-minute game replays, and more.
That's how you do it right there.
This is the NFL for every fan. This is football freedom. This is your game on the go. Wherever you are, this is how you football. Go to plus.nfl.com/radio and start your free trial of NFL Plus today. Terms and conditions apply.
WNSR Nashville Sports Radio would like to take this time to say congratulations to Greg Poe. Greg is a member of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. Greg Poe has been a standard and staple of Nashville sports media. Congratulations to Greg Poe and the rest of the 2023 class of the Tennessee Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. From your friends and family at WNSR Nashville Sports Radio.
I brought up the situation in Jacksonville. Apparently, they have been looking into their stadium as well, their team president, Mark Lamping. And they got their estimate back, and it felt probably a lot like the Titans.
Yeah?
Well, I'm sorry, this letter has a B.
Yes.
We were looking for an M.
No, we don't make that no
No.
more.
No.
No, it's just B's now.
To renovate.
Yes.
I don't even know what the hell.
I don't know what it's called either now,
I don't.
yeah.
I know they've rifled through so
Yeah,
many.
I don't know what it is
I don't
now.
even know what it is today. It's irrelevant. Whatever their stadium name
Jacksonville Municipal.
is. TIAA Bank, some bank or something.
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever. I always called it Alltel. That's what I remember it as.
That's what it was. But I'm not sure
$1
Old
billion
even exists anymore. All right.
$1 billion to renovate.
Yeah, not build a new one.
No, renovate.
Just renovate that one.
So now they're going back in the room like, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's just time to get ourselves a new one.
Maybe we should just move down to, Central Florida Stadium for, a couple seasons and
yeah.
come on back when you guys get finished.
So they are talking about having kind of like what Hard Rock has, if you've ever been there. I have
the canopy.
The canopies, like the shade. And they are talking about downsizing in a range of either, listen to this range.
Yeah.
57 to 60,000 seats.
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
That sound familiar?
It's the new way of doing things.
I agree.
This is what we're doing. And here's the deal with Jacksonville. Jacksonville, despite being in the NFL since the late 90s, has only hosted one Super Bowl.
And they won't host again. It was a disaster. It was a disaster.
And
They
that's
won't
why the
host
NFL,
again.
and it's been 20 years since they've
Yeah.
done that.
And they won't host again.
And they won't go back again. The Super Bowl they hosted was the Eagles-Patriots and the Terrell Owens Super Bowl, where he played on the broken ankle or foot or whatever it was.
Broke his leg, didn't he?
Was it the leg? I thought it was
He'd
like
been
a
out
foot
for a
or an
while.
Yeah, he'd been out for a while. Anyway, whatever it was that Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid and all of that. That was the last Super Bowl in Jacksonville nearly 20 years ago. The NFL has not been back.
There's basically one game. Other than that Super Bowl, there's like one game that now they get capacity seating.
Yeah.
That's Georgia,
Florida. Yeah, the
That's
cocktail
it.
party.
Like the Jag, they're not even close.
No.
This has been going on for a long time. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But they're talking about basically doing the same stuff as the Titans, except for no roof.
It almost makes no sense to be down there in Florida and you only got one Super Bowl. That they thought, I'm sure, part of them getting the Jaguars to begin with was the thinking that they were going to get in the Super Bowl rotation like their cousins down in Tampa and Miami.
They're just not equipped.
Nope.
Remember they had to bring in cruise ships.
Yeah.
And house people on cruise ships.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough hotel space.
Which is why the NFL has not been back. And I'm sure they bid, and the NFL's like, yeah.
I mean,
nah, we're good.
I don't care covering the Super Bowl on a cruise ship, but like on a day off, let's go to the Bahamas or something. Let's cruise somewhere.
Yeah,
they didn't do that.
They didn't do that. And it's northern Florida, too, not southern Florida.
No, it's
so the temperature is
a little bit different.
A little different.
A little bit different. Preds, Montreal tonight. First game in 2023.
Cool.
Bridgestone Arena.
Original 6 team in town. That's always interesting.
Yep. They beat up on Anaheim and closed out the calendar year losing to Vegas in OT. But Vegas is the best team in the Western Conference. So we'll see if Philip Forsberg can stay red hot.
Keep putting the biscuit in the basket, Phil.
That's right. He leads the team in goals. All right, we'll have that and a lot more to talk about tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Stay tuned. Afternoon Stretch is next.